My brother Danny called me selfish when I refused to loan him $20,000. He stood in my living room, his face red with anger, telling me I was greedy and that family should help each other. I had worked 3 years to save that money. He had blown through his inheritance in 6 months, but I still felt guilty, until the day I found his gym bag, hidden in my tool cabinet. What was inside changed everything I thought I knew about my brother. Before we get into what I discovered, tell me where you are watching from right now. Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe, because what happened next will show you why you should never let guilt override your instincts. I need to give you some background first. Danny is my younger brother by 4 years. Growing up, we were close. I was the responsible one, the kid who saved his allowance and did his homework on time. Danny was the charmer, the one who could talk his way out of any situation. Our parents loved us both, but they always worried more about Danny. He needed more help, more second chances, more rescuing. When our father passed away 2 years ago from a heart attack, he left us each an inheritance. Mine was $35,000. Danny got $35,000 too. Our father had worked his entire life as a machinist, saving every penny he could. That money was supposed to give us a foundation, a chance to build something stable. I used my inheritance wisely. I paid off my credit card debt, fixed up my old truck, and put the rest into a savings account. I kept working at the construction company where I had been employed for 7 years, putting in overtime whenever I could. Slowly, I built that $35,000 up to $50,000. I had plans. I wanted to buy a small house, maybe start my own contracting business someday. Danny did the opposite. Within 2 months, he bought a brand new Camaro. Bright red, fully loaded, the kind of car that turned heads but cost more than he could afford. 3 months later, he took his girlfriend on a vacation to Mexico. 5-star resort, fancy restaurants, the works. He posted pictures every day, living like he had unlimited money. By month 6, the inheritance was gone. I watched it happen. I tried talking to him, warning him that the money would not last forever. He laughed it off. He said I was boring, that I needed to learn how to enjoy life. Our mother worried, but she did not say much. She never could say no to Danny. Then the Camaro got repossessed. Danny showed up at my apartment one evening looking defeated. He said he was behind on payments, that he had made some mistakes. He asked if he could borrow $2,000 to get the car back. I said no. I told him he needed to face the consequences of his choices. He got angry, called me heartless, and left. Our mother called me the next day. She was crying. She said Danny was struggling, that I should help him because he was my brother. I felt terrible, but I held firm. I knew that giving Danny money would not solve his problems. It would just enable him to keep making bad decisions. For a few months, things were quiet. Danny got a job at a warehouse. He seemed to be getting his life together. He moved into a cheap apartment and stopped asking anyone for money. Our mother was relieved. I was hopeful that maybe he had finally learned his lesson. Then, 3 weeks ago, Danny showed up at my place again. This time he looked different. Not defeated, but almost excited. He said he had an opportunity. A business deal. He needed $20,000 to invest, and he would pay me back double within 6 months. He said it was a sure thing. I asked him what kind of business. He was vague. Something about importing goods, connecting suppliers with buyers. It sounded sketchy. I asked to see paperwork, a business plan, anything concrete. He got defensive. He said I did not trust him, that I was being paranoid. I told him no. I said I had worked hard for that money and I was not going to risk it on something he could not even explain properly. That is when Danny lost it. He started yelling, saying I was selfish, that I was sitting on money while he was trying to better his life. He said I had always looked down on him, always thought I was better. He called me greedy and stormed out. The next day our mother called. Danny had told her about the business opportunity and how I had refused to help. She said I should reconsider, that Danny really seemed to have turned a corner. I explained my concerns, but she insisted I was being too harsh. Even my uncle called, saying family should support each other. For the first time, I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was being too hard on him. Maybe this was his real chance to turn things around and I was holding him back. 2 days after Danny left angry, something strange happened. I came home from work around 6:30 p.m. and noticed my side gate was slightly open. I always kept it locked because my tools were stored in the garage. I walked around back and saw that the garage door had been opened and closed again, but not locked properly. My heart started racing. I thought someone had broken in. I grabbed a wrench from the bed of my truck and carefully opened the garage door. Everything looked normal at first. My toolboxes were still there. My lawnmower was in its usual spot, but something felt off. I did a thorough check. Nothing seemed to be missing. But then I opened my tool cabinet, the big metal one, in the corner where I kept my power tools and supplies. And there, shoved in the back behind some paint cans, was a black gym bag. It was not mine. I pulled it out. It was heavy. I unzipped it slowly, not knowing what to expect. Inside was money. Stacks and stacks of cash bundled with rubber bands. My hands were shaking as I started counting. There had to be at least $30,000, maybe more. Underneath the money were documents. Business contracts, receipts, and a notebook filled with names and dollar amounts. I sat down on the garage floor, my mind racing. Why was this here? Who did it belong to? Then I saw a name on one of the receipts. Danny's name. The address on the contract was his apartment. I started going through the notebook more carefully. It was a ledger of some kind. Names I did not recognize, dates going back 3 months, amounts ranging from $500 to $5,000. Some entries had the word paid next to them. Others said pending or overdue. At the bottom of several pages, Danny had written notes to himself. Collect from Mike by Friday. Tony owes $2,000. Do not let Sarah know. It took me a minute to understand what I was looking at. Danny was running some kind of lending operation. He was loaning money to people and charging them interest. Probably insane interest rates based on the numbers I was seeing. And he was doing it with cash, keeping everything off the books. I felt sick to my stomach. My brother was not struggling financially. He had money. A lot of it. And he was making more by essentially loan sharking to desperate people. But he had come to me begging for $20,000, making me feel guilty for saying no. Then, another thought hit me. Why was this bag in my garage? I pulled out my phone and checked my security camera app. I had installed a camera above my garage door 6 months ago, after some break-ins in the neighborhood. I scrolled back through the footage to earlier that afternoon, at 1:15 p.m. While I was at work, Danny's truck pulled into my driveway. He got out, looked around, and went straight to the side gate. He had a key to the padlock because I had given him one years ago for emergencies. He opened the garage, went inside for about 3 minutes, and then left. He was carrying the black gym bag when he went in. He was not carrying it when he came out. My brother had hidden his money in my garage. He had used my space as his secret storage without asking, without telling me. And then he had the nerve to call me selfish for not giving him $20,000 that he did not even need. I sat there for a long time trying to process everything. Why would he hide it here? Then it clicked. If Danny was loan sharking, he was probably dealing with dangerous people. People who might come looking for their money. Or worse, people who might try to rob him. By keeping the cash at my place, he was protecting himself. If anyone came after him, they would search his apartment, his car, his usual spots. They would never think to look in his brother's garage. He was using me. Not just emotionally by making me feel guilty, but literally using my property to hide his illegal money. And if anything went wrong, if someone did track that money down, it would be found in my garage. I would be the one answering questions. I would be the one in trouble. The anger hit me like a wave. For years I had made excuses for Danny. I had defended him to relatives who said he was irresponsible. I had felt guilty every time I set a boundary. And this entire time he had been playing me. I took pictures of everything. The money, the notebook, the documents. I zipped the bag back up and put it exactly where I found it. Then I locked the garage and went inside my house to think. I needed a plan. I could not just confront Danny. He would lie. He would make excuses. He would probably try to turn it around on me somehow. The next morning, I called Danny. I kept my voice calm and casual. I told him I had been thinking about the loan, that maybe I had been too harsh. I said I wanted to talk more about his business opportunity. Could he come over after work tomorrow? He sounded surprised but happy. He said, of course, that he knew I would come around. He said he would bring all the details and show me why this was such a great investment. I hung up and felt disgusted with myself for lying, but I needed to see how far he would take this. That evening, our mother called. She said Danny had told her I was reconsidering the loan. She sounded so relieved and proud. She said she always knew I would do the right thing, that family was the most important thing in the world. I did not correct her. I just said I wanted to talk to Danny first before making any decisions. The next day at work, I could barely focus. My coworker noticed and asked if everything was okay. I told him I was dealing with some family stuff. He said families were complicated, that sometimes the people closest to you were the ones who hurt you most. He had no idea how right he was.